Good morning. I'd like to call the morning session of the March 4th meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order. And thank you all for being here this morning. It's good to see a room full of people here this morning. And also welcome those who are watching on YouTube. Welcome to you as well. Thank you for taking time out of your morning to watch our proceedings. I do want to make a couple of comments first. And first I'll go with our 6 priorities. We have established 6 priorities for the county, and you'll see those. You'll see we have some of our county employees, which is one of our 6 priorities. They'll be making some introductions and some recognition there. We have educational funding is one of our priorities, infrastructure, financial stewardship, land use, and also public safety. So you should be hearing about those in each one of our items, either individually or several of them together. The other thing is a little more solemn this morning. Wanted to ask for your prayers and maybe a moment of silence for Will Crocker, a long time, multi-decade servant, public servant to Johnston County, who served this county well and faithfully, again, for many years on his passing earlier this week. And also, you'll notice to my right, Tony Braswell is not here today. And I would just say that he is in need of your prayer. His family asked that we remember him in our prayers, and hopefully he'll be joining us sometime in the near future. And now that we have the full slate for today here, I did want to say, well, one other thing before we get to that. Typically in our pledge, it's not unusual to have some veterans organization here to represent us, but I usually don't call out and recognize individuals, but we have one who is with us today who is a World War II veteran, Dr. Cheryl Stevens. So I did want to recognize you and thank you for your service, and thank you for being here with us today. So with that, we will move on. And as is customary, we open with an invocation. And I've asked Commissioner April Stevens to lead us in the invocation today. And also we have the pledge, which is led by American Legion Post 141 from Selma. So if you choose to do so, please stand with us as we have our invocation.
Dear Lord, thank you so much for another day that you blessed us with. Dear Lord, please be with us as we go through this meeting. Lord, wrap your arms around the Crocker family as well as the Braswell family, Lord, and comfort them in a way that only you can. Guide us with wisdom to carry out your wishes, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
A home club.
Flag and salute. 2, uncover the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recover.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Appreciate you.
Thank you for your
Thank you,
service.
Dr. Stevens. I'm going to drink right-handed here. All right, the first item up for us today is approval of the agenda. Is there any item that needs to be removed from the agenda or added to the agenda? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The agenda is approved. Next up, we have our consent agenda items, and let me count those today. Looks like we have 12 today. They are approval of our minutes from February 5th, both the morning and the evening session. In order to advertise tax liens, we have some additions to the DOT system, the Town of Kenly and Town of Benson appointments to their planning board. We have a mutual aid agreement with Brunswick County. For emergency services, we have a ESO fire service software subscription. And for the health department, a resolution for opioid settlement fund plans update. We also have a call for a public hearing for our 2024 updated Johnston County Water and Sewer Capital Improvement Program, and that is scheduled for April the 1st at our 6 o'clock meeting. We also have appointments to our Board of Adjustment and our Johnston County Health Board and our Nursing Home Adult Care Home Community Advisory Board. We have 3 budget revisions, one for our Finance Department, which is a pass-through for some state-directed funds for Bentonville Battlefield State Historic Site, and then for the jail, and then for the Sheriff's Department. And finally, we have our tax releases and refunds for January 16th through February the 15th. Is there any item that needs to be withdrawn for further consideration?
Mr. Chairman, I move the consent agenda be approved as presented. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving consent agenda items, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Consent agenda items are approved. Next up, we have public comment, and we have Ms. Paulette Williams here from our HR department to recognize some of our county employees. Good morning.
Thank you again for this opportunity to recognize our soon-to-be retirees for April of 2024. We have 2 that are present today, so I'll ask them just to stand along with their respective department. Our first retiree is Danny Johnston with the Sheriff's Office.
Oh, man.
All right, and then our second retiree is Ricky Lazarski with the Public Utilities Department. And both will retire here in April of 2024. Thank you.
All right, so we've been getting pictures made, so we might as well continue the short tradition we have here and come on up.
We can't let these guys go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, come on up here and stand, yeah.
Get a random face to face in the sheriff's department. We'll change.
That's right.
Danny been around a while.
We're going to miss you.
I was about to say, we're the same walking down up in there.
If it doesn't break for us, it's good. I think we got one more. Hold on 1 second. We got one more that want to take a picture, or maybe 2 more. So don't. No. You come on. Yeah, you might as well. All right.
Thank y'all so much.
Thanks. Dan,
Yeah, thank y'all.
happy belated birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Dan.
Appreciate it.
For your service, brother. We appreciate you.
Danny. Yeah, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you working for so long for us, Dan.
All right. Now I will ask if is anyone else here for public comment that wishes to speak to an item that's not already on the agenda. All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have any emails? Okay. Then we will move on to item number 4, which is public hearing, an ordinance amendment on Chapter 14, Article 12, erosion and sediment control. And I will now open the public hearing. and ask for Chandra Farmer, our Utilities Director, to present an overview of the revisions.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have with me this morning Jessica Batten. She manages our stormwater enforcement, should say our environmental enforcement programs, our stormwater management, our sedimentation erosion control, and our riparian buffer programs. So Jessica will be the expert on this subject matter, so she can certainly answer questions better than I can. But I do want to give a quick overview of why we are here and what is proposed associated with these revisions. The county's erosion and sediment control program is authorized by the State Sediment Control Commission, and this commission delegates that oversight of the program to the state, to the Division of Environmental Quality, which is actually the Division of Energy, Minerals, and Land Resources. We say DEMLR for that. DEMLR oversees our program since we have the delegated authority. For local jurisdictions that don't have delegated authority, this is conducted through the state. The state does the approval and enforcement of these programs. However, the county, we requested and were granted delegated authority back in 2011. 2011, so we've been operating our own program since then. And again, as I was saying, DEMLR is the one who oversees what we do and ensures our program meets the state requirements. The proposed revisions we have today are to really ensure consistency with those state requirements. They have a new state model ordinance that was actually issued in 2021, and we're just trying to be consistent with that. This does not change or add any projects subject to this ordinance. It remains the same, and that's generally projects that disturb more than 1 acre or disturb less than 1 acre if they're part of a larger common plan of development are subject to sedimentation and erosion control. And there are exemptions for activities like forestry and agriculture. The details of the proposed revisions include updated definitions, which I've got those listed here. I don't think you want me to read through all of those. I'll be happy to answer questions on them, though. Also, clarification of exempted activities. There was an exclusion related to mulch and ornamental landscaping, and restoration, wetland restoration activities are clarified as being exempt from this program. Other plan revisions include updating plan submittal and review requirements. It also still specifies the review time periods that we are required to comply with. It includes a process to transfer plan approval from one applicant to another, updated inspection requirements, updated sediment basin design requirements. And we also add in here additional compliance tools other than the typical NOV process. This is something that tends to help us gain compliance in a quicker than the way of sending out an NOV, waiting 2 weeks, those kinds of things. We can notify people quicker through the building permit process, through building inspections, permits, and COs, holding those if needed, and then holding a final plat. We don't allow final plats to be recorded if there's violations on properties. And then also the other update is updating the civil penalty assessment process. The schedule for these revisions is the board, of course, called for this public hearing in December. We went to the planning board in January, and they have recommended approval of the proposed revisions. We're here at the public meeting in March. We would like to come back April 1st and ask the board to consider adoption of the proposed revisions, and then they would be effective June 1st of 2024. And I will be happy to answer any questions associated with these proposed revisions.
Any questions of Chandra or Jessica? I did have, so are there any changes in here that we need additional staff for? Or any, I know you mentioned innovative techniques instead of just issuing an NOV. So to me, that sounds like somebody having to go in the field and work with.
I wouldn't say that the changes here require additional staff. I would say that our workload requires additional staff. We need additional staff for the program to ensure we're meeting our deadlines as required, and also the state oversight. They're requiring us to provide additional inspections, and they seem to think we're short on those inspections. So we are under a I guess, is it a continuing review with the state just until we obtain more positions and meet those requirements that the state has. So you'll see in the budget for this upcoming fiscal year, we will be requesting additional positions associated with this program.
Good, because that was my next question. Because I know we've seen, because of the growth we've seen, in our building inspections or environmental health, that we've seen this happen. So I'm not surprised that it's needed, and so I appreciate being proactive and getting that on our list instead of us having to ask for if you need more help. So thank you for that. Any other? Yes, sir.
Anticipated changes with our land use, prompted by our land use plan. Do you see that having any impact on the question the chairman asked you about needing more help?
Associated with our environmental programs, I'm not certain that will have that. I think the biggest change that could come out of the land use plan update that would affect public utilities, I think, is utility planning and infrastructure. We know there's going to be development and land disturbance, whether it's high density, low density, either way. We're going to be reviewing those plans. We know that's going to happen. But I think it's going to be a bigger planning effort associated with our capital improvements plan and water and sewer services. But will certainly continue. The staffing needed to continue these environmental programs is definitely going to continue to grow over time, because we've got to make sure our citizens are protected, existing residents, future residents. We don't want to allow anything that could cause, to be detrimental to the environment. Sometimes once it's done, and we don't want that to happen. We want to prevent those any potential problems. So continuing that oversight with increased staffing is going to be important.
All right, and one other maybe a stretch goal, and I know there are other local governments who have done this and are still looking at, is a stormwater utility. Is that anywhere on our horizon just yet?
I don't really know how that could apply to us, because most of those operate a stormwater utility. So we don't operate any stormwater systems. We only operate, maintain water and sewer. We don't maintain roads or culverts or drainage systems. So uncertain. I don't think that quite would apply to us yet.
Okay. All right, and then finally, I guess the question is, we need to have this as an regular agenda item on April the 1st?
Yes, please.
And that would be at the morning meeting, I'm assuming? Okay. All right, any objections to putting that on our April 1st?
No, do you need a motion?
I don't think we need a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
And thank you for coming, Jessica. Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, next item is Partnership for Children and a proclamation for the Week of the Young Child, which is April the 1st through the 7th. And Myra Burrell is here to introduce the item to us, and I've asked Commissioner Godwin when we get to the point that he would read that proclamation. So,
good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Thank you for your recognition of the week and month of the young child. The first 5 years is key in predicting a child's future success. Within those years, approximately 85% of the brain is developed. And just like a house needs a strong foundation to last many years, we need children to have a strong foundation so they can grow into successful members of our community. Our economy and workforce depend upon it. At the partnership, we provide a variety of services and programs to help ensure the strongest foundation. Thank you again for the recognition and continued support of the partnership. Together, we will build bright futures for our children.
all right, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for the work that you do. Commissioner Godwin?
Let me read this proclamation. Whereas the Partnership for Children of Johnston County Incorporated, along with other local organizations in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, a time to promote the needs of young children, their families, and early childhood programs that serve them, because the first years of a child's life are the period of most rapid brain development and lay the foundation for all future learning and success. Whereas children's cognitive, physical, social, and emotional, and language and literacy development are built on a foundation of children's positive interactions with adults, peers, and their environment. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are critical to young children's futures and to the prosperity of our society, as participation in high-quality early childhood education saves taxpayers' dollars, makes working families more economically secure, and prepares children to succeed in school, earn higher wages, and live healthier lives. Whereas high-quality early childhood education depends on high-quality early childhood educators who ensure that children supported by families have the early experiences they need for a strong foundation. Whereas the majority of these costs, which often exceed the cost of a year of college tuition, are borne by parents who often can't afford it. Whereas young children need early childhood educators who are incentivized and supported to provide high-quality care to those with high and special needs, and whereas working families need robust subsidies, scholarships, and tax credits for families at all income levels that support the true cost of quality early childhood education, and whereas early childhood educators need the ability to earn a family-sustaining wage that is commensurate with the required education and skills that bring to the complex and valuable work they do. Therefore, the Johnston County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim April 6th through the 12th, 2024, as the Week of the Young Child, and hereby encourages all citizens to work to support and invest in early childhood in Johnston County. Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Proclamation.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this? All right, all those in favor of adopting the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the resolution is adopted. I did have one more question. I think last year you came to us, or maybe it was 2 years ago now, with attendance data. Is that something that at a future meeting you could kind of bring us back an update? I know it was a tremendous, I don't know that you can sustain that or where it is, but that was a very interesting, or some interesting facts and numbers on that. So I'd just ask you at some point if you could bring that back to us, that would be wonderful.
We will do.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Soil and Water Conservation District, an update on farmland preservation, and our District Director, Greg Walker, is here to update us on this. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, good morning. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you this morning to talk about the status of our farmland preservation efforts and potentially how we might use some county funds to move forward with a couple of easements that I'm closely readying to close soon. Just a little information. We're just concluded our third year in the easement business, so to speak, where I measure that by the end of the funding cycle, which is November, December-ish. So we have completed our third year. And I wanted to discuss just a little bit how we may use county funds, but to do that, you kind of need a couple of little tidbits as to where the funding sources are and what they do and what they don't do. First one is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They have a agricultural land easement. The acronym is ALE. They will fund up to 50% of the appraised fair market value. That's determined by an appraisal. And I would use AFMV some, the acronym. The unique part about the federal one is they don't provide closing costs. That's a real cost, but the feds just don't do that. Contrary to that, the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, ADFP for short, does fund 50%, up to 50% of the appraised fair market value, but they also consider closing costs. So that's a really good deal. Closing costs are real. They are significant. One thing that neither one will do is as part of the closing costs, they will not cover the appraisal. The appraisal is covered by the landowner, and it really is a good thing. It's kind of like to have some skin in the game kind of thing on the front end. So our goal as we do business with our landowners is we're trying to secure 75% of the appraised fair market value in our efforts. So it's not always easy to do that, but that's our goal. So the next page on what I've submitted to you is a little chart. There's some possible scenarios as we might use funds, and I really want you to look at it in as relation to how we might use county funds. So if you look at my chart, I expressed the value of an easement as percent of the appraised fair market value, just a percent. Across the top line is the various funding sources, the ADFP, if you want principal and state, that's state funds. Then I had the ALE, which is federal funds. The next column will be county purchase funds, potential county use of funds, closing costs, and then how could the county pay closing costs or provide closing costs. So real quick, across the top line, If I had 50% from ADFP, 50% from ALE, that's both, then I would get the closing costs. I got a package. What's a great package? Doesn't always happen very often. That's a great scenario. Typically, I'll get 25% of one of them and 50 of the other. That's that 75% to speak of. Another scenario would be the blue line next. The state funds at 50%, and I get 0 out of the federal. Potentially, use of county funds, there will be 25% of the appraised fair market value. If I have the state funds, I can cover closing costs, so I wouldn't need county funds there. The next line will be one where I've got the federal funds, possibly used for 25% of the county funds there, possibility. I got no state closing costs, so then the county could possibly step up with those costs. So you see kind of the scenarios, what I'm doing here. But I wanted to also say here that I would never go beyond the 75% mark with county funds. That's a package deal that we agreed to when we start. And I provided a little bit of information to the last donated easement. That's possible, but not happen very often, but it's possible that somebody could come in and donate. So as I move towards my proposal to you, I wanted to offer a little bit of discussion here about my interest in easements. And I said I'm in year 3. So real quick, 21, I had 3 parcels. I've closed 1. I've got 2 pending that I want to talk about those. 22, I got 2 parcels. I've got funds, federal and state, out of it for those. That's great. And I'm working on those to close right now. 23, I just concluded 8 parcels. Sent 8 applications in to the federal and state funds. The great thing that I'm really excited about these, they're great tracts of land. They're average over 110 acres apiece. And the value, you put the numbers to it, the value is over $11 million. So, you know, the land values are high, easement value is going to be high. And so just where am I going now? Well, my short term, 24, I've got 7 new people coming in the last 2 months to talk about easements. So we're kind of getting those guys talking about appraisals and where we're going, timelines, and those kind of things. So as I conclude, I just wanted to say again that my proposed model is 75% secured fundings for a client. The appraisal will always be funded by the landowner unless there's an outside source of funds for that. The county funds would not be proposed for that. For example, the North Carolina Grange has offered a grant the last 2 years. If you have a contract in place with federal or state, they would offer up potential some money toward closing costs. It's a great thing. They're trying to be helpful to the process. So as I move forward, I would just like to kind of show you where on the last page of my presentation that I have before you, the 2 that I'm trying to close, the 2022 proposals, they were submitted for funding before an appraisal could be conducted. And so if you look at those numbers, the MDL1, the appraised fair market value is $2.1 million. I have secured $464,000, which represents 22% of the appraised fair market value. So it would take 1.111 to get it to the 75% mark. The second one is in almost the same condition. It's like 1.1 million value, and I've secured 267, and it's 24%. So, Mr. Chairman, I talked in terms of that 1.2 million. I just broke it down for you as how I could use that, and so that's my place that I'll kind of conclude here is requesting that 1.2 potentially for county funds to match the funds that I have. Then I have closing costs already covered. So, do I have any questions?
Any questions?
I've got a question, Greg. Let's assume all the funds came together and this is successful. What's the obligation to the farmer, to the landowner?
I'm not sure I'm following you. What's the obligation? If I had the 75% secured,
Use of the land, next year, year after, year after,
well, then the whole point of the easement is we're protecting ag use.
so it still grows food and fiber.
It is there to produce food and fiber.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just really quick, and I'll add, and I didn't say it enough, easements are not simple. You don't learn them overnight. And if I can ever provide more discussion for you as a board or staff, I'd welcome the opportunity to do that.
What's the term on most of these? Is it in perpetuity or?
Perpetuity.
Okay, good.
Chairman, if I could ask the county manager or even our tax administrator, what's our current totals in the present use value? Do we know what that is today?
In the current year, after about 7 months, it's almost 300,000. It's about $290,000.
And what did we end up with last year?
556.
5.
So you still got a good several months to go this fiscal year.
Was the 556, that wasn't all spent, was it?
Sir?
The 556 last year was not all
No, sir,
spent?
it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't.
So that was the remainder,
That was the total.
that was the total. How much did we spend out of that, do we know?
Well, there was no appropriation from that last year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we basically got 856,000 in present use
If you
rollback
add- if
to
you add-
date?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? So I have, Mr. Walker, so let me ask, so when will you know about the other grants? Or or do you always have those?
I would hope I would know by May or June. So we have resubmitted the second time for both funding sources. And if I get that lucky, then I'll pull them all in and, hit a home run, that's great, but it's not likely.
Okay.
A home run, 75%.
So yeah, I was gonna say, so if you hit the home run, you're looking at needing or asking from us 1.2.
Well, if I can secure other state or federal funds to add to these, now the one of them, NDL 1, is not eligible for federal funds. It's an acreage land use type combination. So it's possible that I can get a few $100,000 more out of the state for the one or the other of them. So I think I think they have the breakdown in front of you as to what's left.
Okay.
How many acres are involved in the MDO 1 and 2?
MDL 1 is about 98,
Okay.
and then the second one, MDL 2, is 48.
Okay.
So the one that's 2.1 million or 2.2 million, that's the 98 acres.
Yes,
That's basically about $20,000 an acre.
that's the easement value.
Yeah, and so they can get that now and they can continue to farm
Farm
it.
it. Yeah.
What happens if everybody in the family dies out and nobody wants to farm it? That's
Well-
the question I got,
Well, the land is still protected for farm use. It cannot be developed.
That easement's still there.
Easement's still there. It can be bought and sold at the courthouse if it has to be.
But the easement is still on.
Easement goes with the land forever. So when we say farmland protection, it's protected.
All right. Any other questions? Comments?
That was the exact question I was going to ask when you asked it a while ago.
Okay, okay. Well, yeah, and I was going to say, I know this is the first time that the board has heard it. I know last year we had talked about taking the PUV rollback taxes and applying that to whatever program for easements or acquisitions. And so to me, we're looking at roughly $856,000 that are sitting in there today with some more coming. So I don't know if the board, if we want to, since it's the first time we've heard it, if we want to
Take it under advisement.
take it under advisement and then we can talk. I mean, I don't want to wait too long because I know he's got grants out there, but we could, if we decide, we can bring it up tonight in other business if we want to, or at the latest at our next meeting, which will be April 1st. So what are the wishes of the board?
A lot of our citizens have expressed a strong desire to retain farmland, mostly for the aesthetics of it. But to me, the more important issue is the food and fiber we talked about.
Right. Yeah, because for me personally, I'm not opposed to, we've got the 856, so I don't know if that says
344.
344 that we potentially could look from the general fund, but we don't know that that's needed at this point. So that's kind of where I am. But again, we're getting it for the first time.
Yeah.
today, so typically we don't hear it and vote on it at the same meeting, but I'm willing to wait till the next meeting, then we can have some time to think about it.
Mr. Chairman, and it's maybe a question, Mr. Walker, is there a way that we can wait to see if you're successful in these and then provide the appropriate funding then? Or is that something you need a commitment prior to?
Well, I understand that. Hopefully I'll hear something sooner than later. It would be helpful to, as I plan the progress in these easements, to have have a budget in front of me so I can kind of work from. So that was always helpful. So just know that.
So you've got two separate issues. You've got the issues that are on the table today, but then you've got, as going forward, how does this board want to proceed
Right.
Annually to fund the
I'd
program?
like for us to think about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it, if we use all the funds from last year and this year, then we start out with a zero balance next year, so.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Commissioner Godwin and would be ready to make a vote sooner than later as well. Like we discussed, these funds were appropriated last year, and I don't see any reason for them to continue to not be used for what we had intended them for.
Without expressing an opinion, I do think we ought to have some time to discuss this.
Yeah.
Whether it be tonight or the next meeting.
Okay. And I think under our rules that we adopted last year, I think that was kind of the process that we had talked about. If we hear something, then we would not vote on it at that meeting. We would do it, so we'll put
I mean,
it on.
this is a big first step. We just need to be careful and make sure we do it right.
I agree.
Yeah, so we'll look at our March 18th, yeah. I had April 1st on my mind since we just did that last one, so March 18th, we'll look at this. So,
Okay.
thank you, Greg.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Find my piece of paper here. There we go. So next up, the next two items, Chandra, are, is Jessica's heading for the door. She's making a run for it. She did her stormwater piece, and she's over.
Yeah, she didn't want to talk to
That's
her.
good. So, yeah, so we're here to talk about our wastewater treatment facility, and Chandra, you have two items. The first one is the contractor pre-qualification on our expansion from 4 to 8 million gallons a day, so I'll let you
Yes.
take that one.
We are planning to bid the expansion to our new 210 wastewater treatment facility that is under construction. It should be online this summer, and our intent is to go ahead and bid an expansion to that project to expand it from 4 to 8 million gallons a day. And the same as we have done with other larger construction projects, particularly at treatment plants, we would like to pre-qualify contractors for this. This is critical work, and continuity of operations is always critical at these facilities, particularly since the plant will be online at that time. So it's important to make sure we get the right contractor. The statute requires the board adopt a pre-qualification policy, which we did that in 2015, but it also requires the board to adopt our assessment tool and criteria for each specific project. So I have presented to you the pre-qualification package for this project, and it includes everything to comply with the county's pre-qualification policy, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on that. Otherwise, we are requesting approval of that package.
All right, any questions for Ms. Farmer?
I'd like to point out, we've been doing this for quite some time anyway. I'll find contracts for specific projects, and we're just carrying on a tradition.
Right, and I'd ask the question that hopefully is a positive, but we anticipate, I know things right now, there's sometimes few bidders. Are we anticipating having ample bidders to
We hope
open this at
so,
one
based
time?
on the interest that we had in our existing plant expansion that we or the improvements at the existing plant. We had several interested contractors. And because we will be winding down several other large projects in this area, we have some contractors around. Their contracts will be ending, so we certainly hope they'll be interested in this project.
And it would be really good if the guy that building the plant now would bid on it, because he knows what's there.
Yeah. All right, any other questions? All right. Hear a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the pre-qualification package for the 210 wastewater treatment facility 4.0 to 8.0 million gallon per day expansion project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, the next item deals with sole sourcing some equipment there, so I'll let you handle
Okay.
that one as
Yes,
well.
so this is the same project. As we look at expanding that plant from 4 to 8 million gallons a day, we're bringing on brand-new equipment, and we are essentially building a parallel train, adding more of that equipment, and to maintain our standardization, our compatibility, and our consistency with operation and maintenance, it's important to ensure we keep some of that same type of equipment. So we are recommending to sole source several components of the plant. Most of those were competitively bid with the initial project, with the current 210 wastewater treatment facility project. That contractor competitively bid those items, and then we selected the ones that would be installed. So many of these, we just want to maintain that, keep that same equipment as we move forward on this expansion. There are a couple of others that were sole sourced with the original project, such as our disc filtration equipment. That's a large installation, and we would like to continue with that same equipment. I'll be happy to go through and name the equipment and manufacturers if you need me to. Otherwise, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I think our deputy clerk just scrolled through
Yeah.
those there, so at least that was enough for me. I don't know if anybody wants you to read to us.
Now, will
We could call the partnership for children back. Man, they could read to us. Yeah.
Are we just going to specify this and not allow or equals, or are we going to?
That's correct. It would be
Okay. All
specified
right.
as this is the.
And I think that's a good move, because we don't want 5 different manufacturers and a different train. I just think it's a good move.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the identified sole source items at the 210 wastewater treatment facility from 4.0 to 8 million gallons per day expansion project.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you. While I'm here, I would like to ask, or to say that if there are no objections from the board, we would like to close our customer service office on March the 22nd. It's a Friday at 2 p.m., a few hours early, in order to conduct some staff training for our customer service group. We rarely are able to do any training for that group as a team, to have everybody together on the same team, because we always are, maintaining operations. And if we're able to do this, this would allow, I think, some better team building for the staff training that needs to be done, and them to be able to work together for this. So we would like to do that at 2 o'clock, like I said, on March 22nd. We will advertise this to all of our customers, and our engineering and construction side of the office would be open if there are any emergencies or anything we need to take care of.
And I'm sure our PIO folks can help out and make sure that gets
That's on
out.
a Thursday.
I just want to say, I'm fine with all that. I just don't know that the board needs to get involved in the management of the day-to-day
Yeah.
governmental. I think that's a bad precedent. I think Rick can make that decision. If we start getting into that, I mean, we're telling each department when they can close and when they can't, we'll go down a rat hole. We don't need to do that.
So we just consider that announcement.
I
And
wanted, we
yeah.
can make everyone aware.
Yeah. And so then, and we'll try to remember to Rick can make the announcement again tonight so people will know. So if they watch one session versus the other, the public will know. So.
And Chandra, I just wanted to add, it's great that you said that. I think that is very important and maybe worthwhile figuring out something moving forward that's constant, so that you don't have to feel like you have to ask every time. Maybe it's, if you feel like it's needed every month for your team, or every quarter, whatever. So it's on the schedule, so you don't feel like you have to ask.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Thanks, Chandra.
All right, the next item we have is appointments, and we have 2 boards that we have Airport Authority and our Health Department, our Health Board, that has more applicants than we have positions open to fill. On the Airport Authority, we have 3 positions and 4 applicants, and in the Health Board, we have 1 position with 2, and that position is for the general public, and we have 2 applicants for that consideration. So each one of the commissioners, we have ballots at our seats, If you would complete those this morning and turn those into the clerk, we will announce those at the beginning of our 6 o'clock meeting tonight. And that brings us to delinquent tax collection report. So Jocelyn Andrews is here to give us that update.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Before you, you have the end of January collections report, and as you can see, we were at 96.63% collected for the year. We've got a few months left in this year. I have not seen the February numbers yet, but I'll just say this is the hard time of year. That last not quite 3.5% is tough. And so staff is working very hard right now, and I appreciate y'all authorizing us to advertise. That will be later this month. But, they'll be working hard to see how close we can get to 100%. I'll be happy to take any questions you might have related to that.
Any questions?
Thank
I'd
you.
like to just say we've got a wonderful tax department.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll pass it on. Great team. Great team. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, manager report and comments. All right, I'll turn it over to the board for reports and comments.
Nothing.
All right.
This is not a political statement, but just obviously I've been involved in that process this year. I've been really encouraged by how many people have been participating in that. I've been to several voting sites, and people are turning out to vote. I just remind all the public to vote tomorrow. It's a right and a responsibility.
Vice Chairman Harris?
No, sir. Thank you.
Commissioner Stevens? Commissioner Smith? And I don't have anything to add to that, so I think we do have a need to go into closed session.
Okay. I move the board go into closed session for the purpose of consulting with an attorney employed by the board in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A3, and to establish or instruct staff concerning negotiations of the price and terms of a contract concerning the acquisition of real property pursuant to NCGS 143-318-11A5.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of going into a closed session for the reasons stated, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we will go into closed session after a chance to clean the room. I did want to say that we will be having lunch at the Johnston County Cooperative Extension following the end of the closed session. I think most of us will be able to attend that, but just wanted to make that announcement. So, all right, we will go into closed session here shortly.
Thank you.